am here at the house, just kind of taking it easy today. Today's the day that the sports card auction starts to end, so I thought, well, we'll kind of rotate between doing a live feed and watching the sports card sale end. It hasn't started yet. They're not doing a live auction today, so we don't have the auctioneers rambling. So it'll probably just be me talking to you guys while we, go back and forth between watching the card sell and just generally just chatting for the most part. Just seeing who's joining us right now. Amanda Donaldson says howdy. Hello. The Numis Maniac says good morning, Alex. I wonder if that's my friend Carrie. I wonder if it is. Miguel, Matthew Fox, Janice, Renee, Sally. Hello to everybody who's joining us right now, and special big thanks and hello to all the people that are part of the Curiosity crew joining us today too. So today is, let's see, what's been going on today? It's Saturday, not really planning a whole lot going on today. At some point, Melissa will probably go downstairs and continue working on the Volkswagen van, the Lego kit that we picked up. I posted on Instagram and Facebook kind of the progress where it's at right now. It hasn't changed since then. But since we ended up getting a proper Volkswagen van, I figured, heck, why not get the Lego version of it? How often do you get an exact Lego replica of your real car? Doesn't happen too often. So didn't want to pass that one up because they don't make these things forever. Right now, let's see, last night I got as far as getting the kitchen cabinets and stuff in, and I'm talking about a Lego vehicle right now. At some point, it'll become an actual full-size vehicle. It's currently sitting over at our house. If you didn't see that last video I put up with the update of the Happy Spanish fellows, or the fellows from Mexico, enjoying some great music and putting up drywall. It was a great time over there. I think they were working pretty much all day the other day, getting the drywall put up. What I learned was that the drywall is in place as it is because on the beams, because it has to be like that for fire protection. But let's flip this around. This is what a time auction is basically like eBay, more or less, where things go up and then you've got seconds to place a bid. They have a little timer there, and as things go, it sells. So if somebody wants to place a bid, they have to hit that button quick before somebody else does. Now, all of these cards are selling for incredibly reasonable prices. Sort of having kind of regrets about putting them through auction this way, because I could have gotten much better if I was just patient and sold them out of the store or put them on eBay. But that's the risk of doing an auction sale. You just never know how things are going to go. And you don't really know what cards are going to bring in terms of value. A lot of this stuff is ungraded. I got it from a big collection that I purchased last year. And I think for the most part, I got my money back on that buy. And so today's sale, albeit I probably could have gotten more money selling in other avenues, will be at least some money back in the bank. And, oh, there's some bids coming in on this one. It's jumping up a little bit. It's up to $45. Okay, some people were interested in that. I was worried because I wasn't seeing other bids coming in on some of this stuff. So this basically clears a showcase for me. It gets rid of a lot of extra stuff, and it's good to get some extra money back in the bank. So we'll see how things do. I mean, they're only giving, things are going fast. Look at this, basically like 10 seconds per item unless you bid, and then it's done. I think it's really smart how they've done that, because people oftentimes don't know how long they have to bid on an item. And I think if a person places a bid, you get a little bit more time, and it pushes the next item back a bit. Kathy Cash, thank you for joining us, Kathy. At some point, Kathy, if I'm ever down in the United States, I'd love to, if you're ever up for a meeting, it'd be great to meet you and hang out at some point. Of course, her dad is the one and only Johnny Cash. And who doesn't like Johnny Cash? That's, if you don't have Johnny Cash saved on one of your playlists, I don't know what's going on. So we'll see. A lot of these cards, we have 1990s cards, 80s cards. after about 1987 or so, and I may as well talk about sports cards and why some are collectible and some aren't, and how the hobby's changed a bit while this is happening. Sports cards started off as being simply a thing for kids. You know, back in, well, actually, that's a lie. It started off as being a thing for adults first because it was in cigarette packages and tobacco. And it was an enticement for people to buy tobacco and buy cards. You'd get this little trading card in with your smokes or your tobacco. They did stuff like birds and animals and military pictures. And then they started to do sports teams. They started to put, you know, hockey and baseball and things like that. And some of those really early sports cards from the turn of the century can be worth quite a bit of money. Later, though, kids started to catch on. And in the 1950s, I'd say, is when it really started to take off and go from being more of an adult collectible to being more for kids. And they started selling them at grocery stores and corner stores. And you could buy a pack of cards and you got a piece of gum in it. They didn't put chewing tobacco in with it. You get a piece of gum with it. And kids would buy it and they'd trade them at school and all that. And it was great. It was meant for kids. Well, by the time and that continued on for basically being a hobby for kids and for some adults too, of course, until the mid 1980s. And then they kind of got a little bit, I don't know if I want to say greedy, but they started overproducing cards and they made so many cards in such quantity to try and maximize their profit that they basically killed the collector hobby for the next 25 years. People, you know, had invested so much money around the years 1988 to 1995 or 6 or so, and that stuff was basically worthless. Aside from a few key cards of key players, they produced so much of it that it became worthless. So when I look for cards and I look for collectibles like this, I'm pretty much only looking for the old stuff. And that would be like pre-1988, pre-1987, where it wasn't as mass produced. But now cards are kind of coming back into fashion, back into vogue. And we're seeing, you know, more and more interest in certain cards, certain players. But where the hobby has changed is that a card like this, you know, it's probably going to sell for $5 or $7 or whatever. But if it was graded at like a 10 out of 10 or something, it could be worth hundreds or thousands of dollars. Grading goes a long way. This Wayne Gretzky card that just sold for $20 or so is potentially worth hundreds and hundreds of dollars. But a person has to send them off to get graded. Grading is costly and takes time for it to come back. So some of these things are not bringing the money they should because they're not graded. But that said, like I said, we're cleaning house, we're cleaning the showcase out, and it gets, you know, we had 560 lots in this sale. Yeah, that's a lot of stuff sitting around, just, you know, money that's tied up that could be used for something else. So here we go with another sale, and I'm just watching things end. I'm hoping we get to a few cards that are worth a little bit more than $5, so it'd be a little bit more exciting. Oh, there's a bid on that one. Probably some local fans watching this stuff. You know, you see the Oilers cards, they'll have a little bit more interest here locally, and you can see Mark Messier getting bid on here. Reading some of the comments as we go here. Nice to see our friend Rick Spector on. Rick calls me on occasion at the store and says hi. The Wayne Gretzky rookie card for $4,000 is not mine. Every single card in this auction is mine, with the exception of that one card. I wish the $4,000 Gretzky rookie card was mine, but that's actually a very fair price for that card, graded as a 7 or near mint. Whoever has that card up for sale is probably hoping it goes for a lot more as well. I think a 10 out of 10 graded Gretzky rookie went for several $1 million. Somebody can correct me on that. But several $1 million for a piece of cardboard, that's crazy. You know, but they hold their value. I guess a lot of times things like this, sports cards, etc., it's no different than having money into stocks or money into commodities like silver or gold. It's something that you can look at and enjoy and invest in and potentially sell and get your money right back out of it. So lots of people into cards. Dave says, Nitrous Diecast says, I had a Gretzky rookie card. Sadly, I sold it years ago. Did you get good money for it, Dave? What did you get for your Gretzky rookie card? I'm curious to know. If it was years ago, I'm guessing not as much as what they go for now. One Cute Bird says they're from Riverdale, Edmonton. A beautiful day in the neighborhood, they said, and they went out walking today. It is going to be a lovely day. Somebody's asking why Castner whited out the prices on the cards. Well, I think that's twofold. One is that people were confused and thought that the price on the card is what they had to pay for it. But the other thing is, it doesn't really look great, I think, if you have a card that I had priced at $200 in the store and it's selling for $5 on an auction. I think it's discouraging, to say the least, for me as a consigner and also for future consigners to see what things are potentially selling for. So I'm sure there's a couple of reasons why they blanked out the price tags. But I will say that the stuff that's selling today is going for quite a bit less generally than what it should. But again, we have sort of an overall price that we're hoping to get from today's sale. We're going to keep that on top of mind and not worry about what the individual cards are selling for, because all it takes is, 30 or 40 cards to achieve close to their retail or do well, and it helps bring up the collection overall. And again, every single card that's selling here today is just profit. So regardless of what it would potentially be worth, I'm not going to spend the rest of my life trying to maximize the dollars out of this stuff, and wait for it. We'll just move it along, put the money into something else, and reinvest. In fact, some of the money from today's sales, I am hoping to put into the restoration or getting the van going and up and running. And the van we got at a very fair price, I find. And so any money that I spend on that Volkswagen van we picked up is only going to increase its value. So it's all relative. It's all relative. I had a friend say once that his motto was, sometimes you have to lose money to make money. And that doesn't seem to make a lot of sense, but sometimes you have to be willing to let things go to get some of your investment back so you can reinvest it in other things. That's what you got to do sometimes. And that's what's happening today. Getting a few bids on the Gretzky card here. $30 a fair price. That's a very clean card, so I'm sure someone will be happy with its condition. I imagine what someone will do is they will take these cards and they'll probably send them in for grading, and it will probably hextuple the value. But they're going to have to spend quite a bit of money getting it graded in the first place. The other nice thing about this collection that we've got up right now is that everything in here is basically a star card. So there's really not much. I don't think there's any common cards in here. I don't think there's any stuff that's common, or everything is basically like a star or known hockey player. So these are the bigger cards out of these sets. There's a couple 1950s cards coming up soon. I'll be curious to see what those go for. Many Hall of Fame players. I'm just reading a comment. I thought you wanted to have a Volkswagen van. Yes, I do want to have a Volkswagen van. In fact, we do have one now. That was on my list of things to do this year, was to get a Volkswagen van. Now, truth be told, we wanted to get a split window Volkswagen van. However, we found a bay window that only has 47,000 kilometers on it. That's very low mileage. That's probably like, 32,000 or 35,000 miles. So it was in really great shape. Teresa, thank you so much for the super chat. Thank you very much for the super chat. We appreciate that. The only thing that's going to be slowing me down on getting the Volkswagen going is that, it's over at the other property waiting for us. And I can't bring it to our current house to work on because it's going to be going up for sale soon. And you don't want to have a vehicle torn apart being wrenched on in the garage while you're trying to sell your property. So I'm going to have to be patient, which is going to kill me. I won't be able to really work on that vehicle until May or June, when we get when we end up getting it moved over to our house or into the garage. Unless I get the garage finished and I can get it put inside there. If I get the okay to put it inside, maybe I can go work on it in my new garage. That'd be pretty sweet, but I don't think I can. I think for insurance reasons, you can't really move stuff in. Gordy Howe, let's see if there's any extra bids in the final seconds on Gordy. And nope, off it goes. There's a Bobby Hall, same thing. Now, condition plays a big role when it plays the cards, when it comes to cards like this. Rarity is one thing. That's an incredibly rare card, the Bobby Hall, early Bobby Hall card, but the condition is so-so. You know, it's probably like a 3.5, 4 out of 10 or something like that. So some of the stuff just, won't go for crazy prices. 857 people on watching me talk about sports cards and stuff like that. Thank you for joining us. Matthew Fox says getting cards graded now is like next to impossible. And he's right. It is a 1 to 2 year wait to get your cards back. I was very fortunate that I sent in a Mickey Mantle rookie card that I had to get graded prior to COVID. And it took them 10 months, I think, to get it back to me. But it only cost me, I think, $25 to get it graded. And I did get it back after 10 months and did definitely help me get better value out of that card because it was authenticated. To replicate that now, I don't know if that'd be even possible. I like a couple years at least, and it's hundreds and hundreds of dollars. So crazy times. I've noticed that some of the more current star cards from the last few years are starting to go for, we had Wayne Gretzky's from the 80s going for $5 or $10, and here we've got a Connor McDavid upper deck card going for 10 or 12 bucks. So there you go. But you start adding all this stuff up, and we've not hit any of the really big or high value cards yet. There are some in here that are potentially quite valuable, and I'll be curious to see what they end up going for. Some of the most expensive cards, of course, I kept back. I did not put in this auction. I had some very nice condition Mickey Mantles and things like that. There are a couple Mickey Mantle baseball cards in this sale today that have not come up yet. There's a Frank Mahovlich rookie card. There are complete sets. There's a lot of great stuff. So if a person's into sports cards, there's some great stuff going through. 1970 Gordie Howe, great looking hockey card, great graphics. I really like the graphics on these older cards. They're just colorful and bright. Something about the design of them just really appeals to me. Any 50s and 60s sort of graphics just look amazing. They look great. I see Melissa's writing as well. She said she's excited to see what type of birds we get at the new property. Melissa is all about birds. I can't even tell you guys. She is constantly feeding birds in our backyard, tormenting our poor dog who's at the window just with, when the dogs have their ears totally forward and they've got all of their energy focused on what's happening in front of them.
And the neighbor's cat.
And the neighbor's cat, yeah. So our backyard is like a Cinderella dreamland of birds, and our dog is just not happy about it. He's very territorial, as small as he is. So he just gets all worked up and he goes around, chases the birds off, and then he does a little proud walk as he prances back in through the door like, look what I did. I showed those birds who's boss, and the minute he's back in the door, the birds are right back where they started. Some autograph cards in the mix today as well. There's a few autograph cards I think that we're going to see going through. But it depends on how the player did, of course, like anything, what they were able to accomplish. Do you guys get a lot of bugs there or no? No, we don't have, it's not like Australia or anything where we could have a bug that could kill you and carry you off into its bug den. Oh, somebody in Australia is going to say, you're giving us a bad name, but I have family in Australia and I can attest from their firsthand account the amount of buggage that happens around there. I'm making up words today, by the way. If you know me, you'll know to expect that. We just have typical sort of bugs, ants and spiders. I don't know. I'm not going to name every bug that's in Alberta, but nothing that's too scary or terrible. There are places in Alberta where there are brown recluse spiders, which if they bite you have sort of a flesh-eating disease element in them. But I would say that's extremely rare, and that would be like in the southern parts of our province that have lots of drier, arid temperatures, like around Drumheller. Which I wouldn't mind going back to Drumheller. We used to go camping out there, and it was just, lovely place to go and visit. Not much for snakes here. I know a lot of times when I'm doing a video, people are saying, oh man, I wouldn't go in there. That place is probably full of snakes. This type of snakes we have are garter snakes. They're pretty harmless.
They are harmless.
They are harmless. I mean, they just eat bugs. And they're not big.
South has rattlesnakes.
No, I guess if you go, in the same area that the southern part of the province might have the occasional rattlesnake. But where I am, I'm not worried about snakes. The most dangerous thing that I would come across would be, I'm not thinking I'm going to find a bear inside an abandoned building or something, but you might find, like coyotes on a property or wolves, cougars. Moose are not friendly. Like they pretty much mind their own business, but I wouldn't want to be face to face with the moose because they're like the size of a truck. And they have big giant horns and they'll come at you if they feel threatened. So, my dad told me a story once that he was driving and he saw these people, they waved him down by the side of the road. This is in the mountains. And they were visiting from, I think, the Netherlands, and they were standing by a moose crossing sign. And they said, excuse me, sir, can you tell me when the moose are crossing? like there was a specific time that the moose, he's like, well, they don't cross at any specific time. He's like, the sign just means they might cross here. But they'd been waiting there for like apparently over an hour for the moose to cross. Like, like what time are we supposed to see these moose? I did see a moose in this. Apparently there's moose that live in the backyard of our property. So I guess we'll have to see. Mark says Bullwinkle. Moose and squirrel. Stupid good looking. I like that they gave Boris and Natasha the Natasha's got some attitude. For all of you that don't know the Rocky and Bullwinkle reference. Fun show. So we'll see what we've got a few more cards coming up here. Roger Maris. I don't remember that being a rookie card coming out. 58, I guess that maybe was rookie. That should be a good card. We'll see what happens. Designer Window Fashion says, just barely avoided getting hit by a moose in Maine. The Maine Moose Massacre, that's what that would have been, Triple M. Yeah, you gotta be careful. Oh, I see. Yeah, that card is in terrible condition, but it's a very important card. Roger Maris, rookie card, off it goes. So even though that was in tough shape, still, brought more money than some of these other cards in much better condition. Instead, it depends on the player and all that good stuff. We got some tall boy cards coming up. Actually, what's kind of interesting, speaking of Holland, they had some trading cards with Dutch trading cards with jazz musicians. So there's like an Ella Fitzgerald trading card. Kind of cool, kind of different. Not something you see every day. If you're into jazz, I guess, Oh, these tall boy cards are pretty cool. They're an unusual size. They're quite a bit taller, thus the name Tall Boys. Really colorful graphics, really cool. So I know people are trying to fill out their sets and trying to get these sets done. It was a neat collection. Somewhere on YouTube, there's a video when I bought all this stuff the first time around, and it was an absolutely insane amount of sports cards. The fact that it's taken me about a year or so to get this sold off, and I still will have kept back some of the better pieces, is kind of a testament to the collection. I'm watching at the same time if I'm being distracted. So I'm watching the auction. I'm trying to read comments too at the same time. No moose in Cleveland except maybe chocolate mousse. Well, that's something that I have a weakness for chocolate mousse. My mom knows that I have a weakness. My mom Linda knows I have a weakness to chocolate mousse, but she knows I'm trying to avoid sugar. So she actually figured out how to do keto, sugar-free using substitutes mousse, and it was delish. So Mom, thank you to my mom for that. Lou Brock rookie card. We'll see if anybody wants to add that to their collection. It looks like a lot of these cards look like they're selling locally. Early Ted Williams, going to North Carolina bound, possibly. So we'll see how things go. Paul Coffey rookie card. $80. Let's see, nobody bidding the last second. Oh, nope. It's always that I wonder who's hovering over the place a bid button at the time that it's about to end. Oh, there it goes. We've got some cards that are definitely selling off to different parts of the world. Let's see. Diane says, did you ever get the Curiosity Inc. sign off of the old store? No, I did not. I did not. I left it there. I wouldn't want to put it in the garage. I don't know. It's so funny. I don't like, I've had people send in sort of artwork that they've done about our store and stuff, and it's beautiful, but I feel like it's too boastful for me to hang. And hanging my old store sign would just remind me of the fact the store's gone and it's done. And I don't know how I'd feel about hanging it up. So I just left it there. As much as I spent good money on getting that sign made, it's fine. It needed to go to a new home. Mickey Mantle for $45 is a killer deal. Well, yeah, that went cheap. That was probably like a $500 card, even in that condition. But, you take your risks at these auctions. And at the end of the day, it's all going to be gone. My store will be a little bit cleaner, and I won't have to worry about this stuff ever again. We'll see. We've got a Phil Rizzuto up for grabs right now, 54 top, 17 bucks. That's Canadian dollars. If you're a sports card fan and you're watching this and you haven't logged on to bid yet, I would totally be bidding if it was me, because a lot of this stuff is just really rare, hard to find stuff, and even in the cases, the cases cost money too. Duke Snyder, 54 Duke Snyder. Okay, we're getting some bids on this one, a little bit of action on that. The earlier cards like this from the 50s are just incredibly tough to find, especially when you get the star cards. A lot of people are missing these star cards when they're trying to fill in their sets, so to get in any condition is important. Yes, I see there's a tsunami warning anywhere in the Pacific right now because there is a volcano, which had a cool name like Tonga Hunga Tunga or something like that. But a volcano erupted in the ocean today, and it's literally the ripple effect of that is creating waves. So to anybody who's on the coast, no matter what coast you're on, if you're around the Pacific somewhere, just listen to your news and be safe. While I sit here landlocked watching a sports card auction end. We don't have too much for crazy bad weather here, other than we get spats of very cold in winter like we've had already. Thankfully, it's melting here today. It'll be nice out today, but last week, man, -30, -40 Celsius or Fahrenheit. That's too cold. That's unpleasant. I will tell you.
It's called that because it was by the Tonga Islands.
Yeah. It's like 60 miles off the coast of the Tonga Islands, I believe. More Wayne Gretzky cards you want for sale. Maple James says, that's not freezing cold. Yeah, your nose just fails to exist anymore. It just turns into an icicle. But the worst weather I guess we have in summer, occasionally there have been some tornadoes, not very often though. And the central part of our province sees more extreme weather, I would say, in summer, like around the Red Deer area, where they'll see tornadoes or extreme hail events and things like that. And I have a feeling it's because of where they're situated from the mountains when the airstream comes over the mountains and settles in around there. Our neighboring city, Calgary, which is in the southern part of our province, and of course, a province is like a state for us. If you ever look at the map, you see these giant what looks like a state or province. Anyway, our province of Alberta has 2 major cities in it. Edmonton, where I live, is the capital with about 1 million people in it, and Calgary is a little bit bigger. It's not the capital city, but it's sort of like a bigger hub. And those are our 2 major areas to go. In Calgary, in wintertime, will occasionally have what they call a Chinook, where the warm winds kind of crest over the mountains, and you'll go from -15 or -20 to suddenly above 0 for a few days, but then it'll swing right back again once the Chinook winds pass. Kind of different, but kind of cool. Brenda Pun asked, what was the end result of the horror auction? Well, that was quite a while ago. That was around Halloween. I think we made our money back on that, and then basically I ended up with all these giant horror monster displays at the store, which are super cool. I will have to try and find an owner for those because I don't want to have a permanent display of horror dioramas in my store, as cool as they are. So I think I will probably reach out and see if I can get perhaps like a store that does like maybe a haunted house, or somebody who does more in the vein of horror items. Maybe they'll be interested in picking that collection up from me. I've got some work to do on that one. That's where it'd be nice to have, like on American Pickers, they have Danielle, and she'll make phone calls and, hey Danielle, find me a buyer for blah, blah, blah. And she goes off and tries to sell things. For me, that's me. I'm the guy that's supposed to do that, and I just haven't had time to really pursue finding new owners for that stuff yet. But it did well, to answer your question. Hello to Ann Smith. She says, hi everyone, and hi Alex. Ophelia has joined us. Can't think of anything but Paul Simon when I hear that name. Is there a decision to make this auction a digital countdown rather than a human caller auction because of the difficulty in pronouncing names? No. The reason why they went to a timed auction on this is, frankly, we just weren't getting the bids on the items, and it cost money for them to hire auctioneers. That would have taken money out of the profits for the auction house. So in this case, they did not hire the auctioneers to do the sale because, we just weren't seeing the bids coming through on stuff. Anything like this, any type of collectible like this, whether it's a sport card or anything, is a risk because it's generational to a degree, and it can go up and down. Think back to the 1990s. And people were spending tons of money on Beanie Babies. And maybe there's lots of people. Oh, Brenda, thank you for joining. She joined our Junior Explorer Club. Think of the 90s and people spending money on things like Beanie Babies and sports cards and all the other stuff that you could have spent money on. Collector dolls from magazines. You'd have to spend money week after week and do a payment plan on them. And a lot of that stuff just really didn't hold its value at all. And it's very challenging now when you run into people who have a collection of things like that, and you don't want to be the person that has to say, I'm sorry, but your collection doesn't have value, when they've spent thousands and thousands of dollars on it. It's just, things are really subject to change. And so you have to kind of keep with the times. You have to keep with the program. And I've been struggling lately at the store to try and figure out what type of product to carry. I don't want to carry too much in the way of toys, and lately that's been the case because the toys have been selling quite well. The pop culture stuff, the toys, when the comics come through, they always sell out in a big hurry. But I don't want to convert my store into simply a collectibles novelty shop, and there's risk of that happening. So when I look at what I'm doing with this sale, for me, there's other things I want to do, like fix up my van and that, but also to reinvest money back into other items in the store. I'd like to find some more historical items and some other antiques to fill the shelves with. Bruce Moore, thank you so much for the super chat from Buffalo. Thank you, Bruce. I've never been to Buffalo. I'd like to go. I've been to Niagara Falls, which is right by there. I've seen Buffalo. I've seen it.
Restock the crunchy bars.
Bob wants me to restock. Yeah, I do actually have to do another candy run. I'm glad that I diversified my business by opening that other side and selling newer items, market style, like the newer products. Not only does it provide a different product for my customers, but it helps support a lot of local businesses, a lot of local entrepreneurs, and gives me a steady income of things that I just know are going to be happening, sales that are going to be coming in throughout. But we are certainly waiting to see what happens here with the store in the near future, and what we're going to be bringing through. Any idea when your home is going to go on the market? Yes, we're putting our home up for sale in February. So next month. They're going to be taking pictures this month, which means we've got a little bit of cleaning to do to get ready, but we're basically there. We've been keeping on top of it. And I guess it's just a matter of letting it sit on the market for a bit. They say the average sale time on a house is about 55 to 60 days right now. There's not a lot of competition on the market because this isn't the best time to sell a house. Usually spring is, but by putting it on the market now, somebody could have a spring possession, which would be great for the future buyer. So the timing will work out pretty well. We just have to find somebody who's okay with the later possession date of end of June, June 28th, because our build was pushed back because of the cold weather. So there are some complications there, but certainly I'm hoping that we'll see, an offer fairly soon, and then we can just basically mellow out here for a couple months. Did they install the garage doors? Asked Merrill. We're going to find out. I was there yesterday and they were preparing to install the doors, but in fact, after the live feed, after lunch today, I'm going to gather up the kids and go and check it out and see if there's anything there that's changed and different, because that will be a big difference in the look of the house. I know that the siding guys were there and they were getting the trim done all around where the garage door is supposed to go. So that is happening. And I know the guys were there from the overhead door company yesterday. Quite a bit was happening yesterday, actually. They were blowing in insulation into the attic. So a lot of people were asking how we were going to insulate the ceiling. That was blown in insulation. Did I miss a super chat while I was yakking? I might have. If I did, I'm sorry, but thank you so much for the super chat. Anybody who sent one, that's really kind of you to do. Ron Lancaster.
Mason's 50th birthday today.
Oh, happy birthday, Mason. To your 50th. That's a good year. Mima Mary, thank you. Says, how's it going with a reclining pear-shaped little creature? Very cute. So we'll see. We've got a few football cards coming up here. I try to do things sort of in series, because if you group things together, then your guys that are into football might log on at a certain time to watch the auction end, as opposed to people who are into hockey or baseball, etc. So I did try and put things more or less into groupings, so it'd be a little bit easier for people to bid. I do try and keep those things in mind when I'm bringing stuff in. We have an antique sale, which is happening February 5th as well. Those items should be photographed and posted online within the next week or so. It's not a huge sale. It's a Alex was cleaning the store type sale. There are a lot of really cool things, but I basically went around the store and I just cleaned house. And I think we took about 600 items down to auction for that sale, which will be a blend of collectibles, toys, antiques, some glassware, some jewelry, etc. So it'll be a good mix of different things at that sale. So we'll see how it does. Okay, we've got some old NFL cards it looks like going through. An autographed Jerry James football card. This card in particular came out of the abandoned antique store. I don't know if you guys remember that. We had a purchase of an abandoned antique store a couple years ago. I'm waiting for basically one of these other big buys to come along where I can buy another building. And I had the opportunity for one, but it was an estate split with a few people and we couldn't quite make it come together. Would have been an interesting video series, but when things are going through the legal channels, it can make things complicated. So I stepped away from that one because I don't think they were ready to sell. So we'll see. We'll wait for another opportunity to come our way. But I don't want to just be clearing a bunch of garbage out of somebody's house. I don't want to be buying trash. So when these houses come my way, I want there to be the possibility of there being at least a few interesting things in it. Because sometimes I find these places and it's a what you would call like a dirty hoard, or a place where I know is just going to make me sick and there'd be no profit whatsoever. So I'm being somewhat selective, and I think I should be. My store is full. We've got lots of product on the shelves at the shop, and I don't really want to be putting a lot of money out for just a bunch of work and junk, essentially. I had the question posed, why is a rookie card worth more money than other cards? Well, that's because if a person accomplished quite a bit in their life, let's say like a Mickey Mantle or a Wayne Gretzky, put those two together, they're both elite athletes in their field. Typically, when that rookie card was put out, they weren't a star, they weren't a top player, so the card company wouldn't have put out an excessive amount of them because they didn't know what to expect of that person, so they're a little bit more rare. But also, it's it's like saying this is the first card of a person who accomplished quite a bit in their field. And so many people would much prefer to have that card over others because it's their first card and it's just a little bit more rare and a little more collectible. You know, so if you want to know what a good future collectible would be now, you look for people who are showing promise in their career early on, and you buy their rookie card now within the first year or two of them playing, and you would hold on to it and see if it goes up like crazy. There are some people who in recent years have had their rookie cards start to gain value. Connor McDavid is an example, who's a local to me, Edmonton Oiler, one of the game's current best players. We don't have one of the current best teams right now. Would love to see them do better than what they've been doing, but we certainly have some of the best players in the league here in Edmonton. I'm just going to read some of the comments as we go here. See a Jean Beliveau. That's it. I love these old cards, and look at the artwork on that. That's what they would hire somebody to do a painting for the card. That it's just wonderful artwork. They're little bits of artwork. No Walter Payton rookie cards here. Second season cards are generally pretty good too, but in recent years, what they would do is they would have, if it wasn't a rookie card, they would have maybe like a chase card, which would be a card that was put into production that had maybe a bit of their jersey or a bit of their glove or net, if they're of their stick, etc., infused into the card. And those chase cards could be worth quite a bit of money based on the fact that they're rare. So there are other types of collectibles that will drive the value up. But typically what you're looking for in sports cards is the big name players and rookie cards of those players. What's the plan for the backyard of our house? There will be some plans for the backyard of the house, which we will reveal at a later date. But primarily this summer, the main thing we want to accomplish is getting a nice big garden put in for Melissa and for the whole family. But Melissa is very eager. She loves gardening. And we've had some of you out there in YouTube land send Melissa some seeds for flowers and seeds for garden. She's very thankful for that. And if we haven't had a chance, I think she typically tries to write people back and thank them, but we don't have time to thank everybody for all the wonderful things that you've sent in. But Melissa is very excited to get started on the garden. So we're going to get it rototilled and make a big garden. For the front yard, I want to get it hydro seeded. So we have a nice green grass, a nice green yard this year. And we have to put a driveway in. I just want to live in the space, kind of get the garage set up the way I want it. I'd love to get a hoist in the garage. See, I plan on doing a lot of work in the garage, in the shop, and Melissa loves being outdoors, and so do I, frankly, and so do the kids. So there'll be fire pits happening and s'mores, barbecues, hopefully some family get-togethers, fresh veggies in the garden, and next year we might start building a chicken coop this year. We'll see how it shapes up, but that's more of a next year sort of plan, is to start thinking about chickens and that kind of stuff too. Fun story about Mickey is some people were asking questions about Mickey Mantle's rookie card and why are some rookie cards worth a lot more than others. Here's an early Pete Rose baseball card being auctioned off right now, 1965. Pete Rose not get into the Hall of Fame because he was a coach and was betting against his own team. Not something you should do. So sadly, won't be Hall of Fame bound. That man would have been in the Hall of Fame had it not been for his error in judgment. Chad Baker Photography says, hello from Portland, Oregon. Love the channel. Always great to see the new items in the store. Gives me great ideas for my own eBay store. Hey, thanks, Chad, and thank you so much for the super chat. So Mickey Mantle's rookie card, there's a story behind it. His real rookie card is actually from 1951. I think it came out in the Bowman set, and it's worth a lot of money, but it's not worth as much as the 52 Topps, which is considered his actual, first major card because it was a bigger release and all that stuff. So the 52 Topps is in fact his second year card, but it's considered his rookie card. The lore behind the 52 Topps Mickey Mantle is this. That series, the 52 Topps set, was released in two parts. The first part was released and put out during the season, and there were some delays which caused the second half of the set, the higher number cards, to be released after the season ended. Mickey Mantle's card was part of that set. He was a higher number card in the 52 tops. And they tried to sell them throughout the summer. They tried to sell them to the stores, but by that point the season was over. And people weren't really as interested in the previous year's cards. Some trades had happened and stuff. And so the people at Topps had all these cases of cards sitting in a warehouse in New York, and I guess they weren't selling them. And out of pure frustration, this is how the legend goes, they were put on a barge. Cases and cases and cases of brand new 52 Topps baseball cards were put on a barge and dropped in, I think, the Hudson River. Somebody will correct me on, we're trying to recall this story off the top of my head, so if I'm missing details, let me know. And so as a result, there were very few of them in existence. I found mine in Canada, but some of these high number cards out of that set are very difficult to come by because they did not sell very well because of the release date. By the next year, 53, very soon in that season, 53 Topps cards started coming out with the new players, and so they weren't really a big seller. It was like a seasonal thing. They couldn't sell them, and so they were dumped. And I don't believe it's an urban legend. I think there's actually documented truth to that, that they were dumped in the river, So I imagine at some point somebody would have had to keep some paperwork on like, hey, what happened to all this inventory? It's, this mentality of just dumping stuff continued on even into the 1970s and 80s. Think about Atari. When Atari went belly up because of an E.T. video game, you probably know this. Fall Creek Collectibles said they also handed them out at fairs to get rid of them. Yeah, they had so many, they couldn't get rid of the things, and so they dumped them. Atari was like the top video game system in the world was Atari. If you grew up in the 70s or 80s, you probably had an Atari system. You probably played, a variety of great games on there. In fact, Donkey Kong is the first appearance of Mario. Mario is the guy that is fighting Donkey Kong. Funny little bit of history there. Steve Jobs helped design video games. A lot of folks that became major players in the computer industry were involved in Atari. But Atari rushed. They were onto a good thing. They came out with the E.T. video game. Many of you have probably heard this story before. The E.T. movie came out. They're trying to push the game to come out right around the time of the movie. So they got their guys to push this video game out. And they didn't spend much time on it. They pushed it out, and it sold a ton of copies. It would have been an amazingly good seller. But the problem is, there was a fatal flaw in the game where if you fell into a pit, you could never get out of it. And so in frustration and anger, everybody started to refund or return their games and complain that it was defective. Well, that error, that video game error, put Atari out of business. They couldn't cope with the amount of returns coming back in. It basically destroyed their brand. And so what they did is they took after they went broke, all of their remaining inventory, including a ton of these E.T. games, were dumped in the desert. There's actually a documentary on it you can find somewhere. I don't know if it's on Netflix or where it lives now. But they dumped them in the desert and buried them. And somebody went back later and dug the stuff up and they sold them. They sold them with like certificate of authenticity saying this is like the dumpster bin of the stuff came out of the trash. And pretty crazy story, but people did wild things to get rid of inventory, and recycling wasn't at the stage where it's at right now. It'd be nuts if any of those Mickey Mantle cards survived at the bottom of the river. That would be amazing. But being that they're made out of paper, probably nothing left of them. But yeah, just wild what people have done over the years. Willie Mays. Say, hey, Willie Mays, up for grabs. 68 Willie Mays, currently 25. Oh, it's up to $35, 35, 35. Do we have 40, 40, 40? How many, where are we going to be? Where are we going to be? 40, 40? $40 bid. Can we have 45, 45? I feel like I'm missing out on the auctioneer chant right now. I don't think I could do what they do. We're at $45. Let's have $50, folks. Who's got $50 for a Willie Mays baseball card? $50 currently going to Ohio. If you don't bid on it, you're going to miss it out. $50 going to Bow Island, Alberta. $50. You don't want to lose it for $10, do you, folks? So just bid the $10 and get the card. It's a Willie Mays. Look at that. Where are you going to find another one? Today's the day. Oh, and sold for $60. Actually, I think it sold for $50. Oh, we'll see. There's a few more things to go right now. Yeah, JR says, yep. Yep. It'd be nice to see a few bidding wars happen. Some of these cards are just going to go for whatever. Oh, Granny Sam says our friend Josh was raising wasps. I don't think Josh wants to raise wasps. The last time he got bit by one, it blew up his face like a balloon. Hi from California. The cards were dumped in the Atlantic Ocean, according to Berger's statement in a 2001 copy of Tough Stuff magazine. Okay. I thought maybe Hudson River, but I guess it's Atlantic Ocean water. But orange blossom honey from Florida is delicious. I haven't tried that. Decades ago, we contacted Atari with the game idea. We didn't know what was taking place. They were basically finished and we didn't know. Oh, man, yeah. You know, when my dad, years ago, my dad had a television show in the early 80s, and Atari was his sponsor, which is why I posted, if you look on my channel in a playlist, you'll see that I posted some Atari commercials. That's because I had the original copies of the commercials. Because my dad had them as a sponsor, they sent him the actual tapes of their commercials. So I don't know how many people had that, but I posted almost every commercial that I could come across. Pretty cool. Oh, there's a 63 Mickey Mantle coming up. We'll see. Let's see, 62 Roger Maris coming up, $35 and sold. Oh yeah, here's a cool one. Ted Williams with Babe Ruth. And it's cool to see two icons, you know, Ted Williams and his idol, Babe Ruth, on the same card. 1959 Fleer, that's a cool card. You can see it's at $80 right now. Two pretty major stars on the same card. There's a 63 Mickey Mantle. So you got Tom Tresh, Mickey Mantle, and Bobby Richardson all on the same card, $40. Up to $50 now. Let's see, will it go for more than 50? I mean, when you think about, Pomsky Life Nova says, do Canadians know baseball? Yes, we have Major League Baseball team in Canada. Teams, I should say. I played baseball for many years myself. I was a pitcher for many, many years. Oh, I see a super chat came in. Hi, Alex. No cars on the septic hill. You aren't to run the riding mower or plant on it. It's designed to shed water off it and be very dry inside. The septic guy said that I was able to ride a ride-on lawnmower on it so I could cut the grass on it. But I'm not planning on putting cars on it. No, I know it's not meant to be driven on, but they said the riding lawnmower was fine.
It's just a little riding lawnmower.
It's just a little one. We don't have like a big tractor. I feel like I was talking about something and then I stopped. When I saw the super chat. What was I talking about?
I was half listening.
Well, there you go. My mind has gone blank. It's officially hit. Old age has hit me. It's like when I'm driving the car and I forget where I'm going and I end up just driving home. And I'm like, oh man, I wasn't supposed to go home. I was supposed to go to the hardware store. Pomsky Life Nova says, are your cards doing better than you thought or worse? If I'm honest, I would have liked to have seen some of them. I don't care. Like some of these cards, it's the really good ones that are going cheap that is the heartbreaker. But honestly, I'd rather have it turned to mine. Oh, here's a big one. This one is not mine. This is a Wayne Gretzky rookie card. This card looks like it might sell for $4,100. It did. So nobody else played a bid against it. So that whoever consigned that card got $4,000 for their hockey card. Hard to say whether they're happy with that or not, considering, you know, if it was in, you know, number 10 condition, being a top's probably $100,000 card. Talk about a difference in value. A number 7 card looks to the eye almost as good as a number 10. But then you get into gloss. Does it have fingerprints on it? How is the centering? Those sort of things are the things that'll push it to a number 10. Oh, I was talking about baseball. Yeah, I guess I was a good pitcher. Rick, I was on we had like a kids, I played it all through Little League and up until I was a teenager. I was on the All-Star team for a little bit. and travel around and play games. And then I did a training camp with the Edmonton Trappers, which at that time was the AAA team for the California Angels. And I thought I might actually the coach there said I had a really great arm, and the coach of the Angel, he was formerly the coach of the Angels and was coaching the AAA team. Had said he came over and talked to me, and I did a pitching camp with them, and yeah, it looked like I had potential to move in that direction. And up until recently, I could still whip a ball pretty good, but I tore my rotator cuff muscle, of all things, carrying antiques around. And now I don't even know how fast I could throw a ball. It's going to have to heal up. Maybe it'll be like that. What was that movie in the 80s or 90s where the kid's arm healed and he could whip it like 200 miles an hour? Maybe it'll be like that once it heals. Maybe my tendon will heal too tight and I'll have some crazy, wicked fastball.
Do you have a baseball card?
No, I don't have a baseball card.
We should make a baseball card.
No, I don't need a baseball card. Faking a baseball card would be the equivalent of wearing a war medal or something you haven't earned. But I did enjoy baseball, and it was great fun. So yes, Canadians know baseball, but being a good Canadian, I should have played hockey, you would think. However, I can barely skate. I am not a fan of cold weather. I am definitely more into warm weather sports. I actually had a great uncle. I had some pretty good uncles too, but I had one that was great. My grandpa's brother was a professional baseball player, and he played against the big names. Like he was playing in the professional Canadian leagues at the time. He would have played against, at the time it was called the American Negro Leagues as well. And he played against all the stars. So I do have semi-professional baseball players in the family. And also musicians. My dad was a musician. My uncle is a musician, a professional musician. My grandpa played semi-professionally saxophone in big bands. You know, his brother played saxophone. There's a lot of artists, a lot of musicians in my family, and I think that kind of comes naturally. Has there been Sasquatch sightings in your neighborhood? No, not since I started making sure I wore a shirt when I went in the backyard. Actually, I'm not a super hairy dude, but no Sasquatch sightings in our area. There could be some. I don't know. In our area, though, if there was a Sasquatch sighting, there'd be some hunter during hunting season probably go looking for it and have it strapped to the hood of their SUV or their truck. There'd be a Ford F-250 with the Sasquatch on the front of it. I don't know what kind of jerky it's going to make, but I'm sure going to try. Yeah, no. I don't think you want to dress up like Sasquatch and go running around in the woods out here. Okay, Mike Palmer rookie card, $7.50. See if there's any Mike Palmer fans. A lot of these are, you know, for most people are going to be fillers for their sets. Like I said, they're looking for cards that maybe they couldn't find. But we're creeping up on an hour here. That's gone by really fast. 1,356 people listen to me just be a goofball and talk about stuff. I don't know. I'll try and answer some questions. I don't know where the chat went. Are they still chatting, Melissa? Yeah. I don't see the chat box. Yeah. I don't see the chat box at all anymore.
I'll tell you.
Oh, there we go. I see it now. I kind of had to refresh. If you're not a fan of the cold, I think you may want to consider moving. I hear Florida's nice this time of year. I don't see myself wanting to move to somewhere that isn't close to family. It's funny, I was talking to my mom the other day in the Potter's household, and she came out there with me, and I said, Mom, you know, if I had my way, I would have just given this house to you so you could live in it. And she said, that's really kind, but she'd be miserable because it wasn't close to family. At some point, you know, regardless of the fact that we do have cold weather here, being around your family is the most important thing. I think look back and miss, I would regret, a life regret of mine would be not being near family and not having access to them into that.
See what she said, tell them to come with.
Tell them to come with. It's absolutely crazy that I have now 2 half-siblings recently discovered, and they both live in Colorado. So I guess the next trip for me is going to be making my way down to Colorado. Mary says, your mom's skin is amazing. Yeah, my mom is, my mom's held it together. She doesn't have a whole lot of wrinkles or anything. And, you know, being born in the early 50s, I think she's done well to take care of herself. She used to have a crazy like ritual. She would like have Noxzema going and stuff. She would always do like every day. My mom had a ritual to take care of her skin. Must have worked. Okay, are we coming up to any cool cards? Let's see. Eddie Shack is a big player. Eddie Shack rookie card. Not in great shape, but a good player. Everybody likes Eddie Shack. Somebody says, hey, early 50s isn't that old. Born in the early 50s. Well, it'll be, you know, my dad would have been 71, I think, this year if he'd made it.
All right.
Yeah. He would have been 71. Oh, my mom is a year younger than my dad. So she's 70 this year. I can't believe my mom's turned to 70, but she doesn't look 70. My mom looks like she's in her late 50s, I would say. In her mid 50s. That's pretty good. You know, look 15, 20 years younger than when my mom and dad used to go to a restaurant. They'd say, oh, how nice of you to take your daughter out to dinner. And they were the exact same age, basically. As my dad went gray. And he had a gray beard and gray hair, and my mom still looked fairly young. So I guess, yeah, it looked like my dad was in his late 60s and he was out with his, you know, 50-year-old or 40-some-odd-year-old daughter. Yeah, and then my mom would have to correct them. Mario Lemieux, rookie card. It's not his rookie card, but it is from his rookie year. Stan Mikita. National Geographic said you should live to be 120. I don't know. Is that a gift? I don't know if I'd want to. I don't know. I guess you get more time with your family, which would be a gift. But, you know, maybe if it's stretched out the middle part of your life, like if you got those extra 20 years or 30 years, it would stretch it out. Jean says, your mom's beautiful. Was she a model? My mom actually did do modeling back in the late 60s, early 70s. I work with the elderly and think 95 plus is old. When my great grandma was at a seniors lodge and she was 101, she was working the bingo and she said, well, I've got to keep busy. Somebody's got to take care of these seniors. And those people that she was looking after were like 30 years younger than her when she was in the seniors home. She still had so much life and was so full of joy and energy. My great grandma, my mom's grandma, lived to be 102, and she was just a sweetheart. She would sing, and she'd make sure she had cookies every time the kid visited. They weren't always the freshest cookies. You know, like, Grandma, where'd these come from? They're like hockey pucks. They're so hard, but she always had cookies. Mind you, when you're 102, you're probably not getting out to the grocery store as often as you'd like. But she was a very sweet lady, and we used to go and visit her all the time. And it was fun for me to go and hang out with my mom and her grandma, you know, to see my mom being a kid, you know, like basically like my grandma treating her like a kid. And my kids did get to meet my great grandma. So there was a period of time that my kids had a great grandma, and she was in all senses a great grandma. Kept everybody together. She was the glue of the family. You know, every year we used to get together for her birthday, and that's when I'd see that side of the family, my mom's side of the family. So we don't have that person to kind of take over. I'm trying to convince my mom that she should be the new grandma that everybody gets together for their birthdays and stuff. But my mom is such a reclusive person. She does not like any sort of attention. That's why she's always shy whenever she appears on a video of mine. She's very demure. She's very shy. Let's see. Where are we at right now? Phil Esposito selling for $15. You got a Pierre Pilot. Hockey card. Nobody's bidding on it. Nice old card for $5. And oh, somebody bid in the last second. That's a good card for $5. Lots of good deals for people today. Every family needs a matriarch, someone's saying. It is nice to have that, you know, not that my mom's a grandmotherly, I don't see my mom as a grandma, even though she is. It's even crazier to think that the day might come in the next little while where she'll become a great grandma, whether it's my niece or nephew or my kids that have kids down the road. You know, Steven's 17, and 5 years from now, it's possible he could be a dad, which is crazy. You know, it's a crazy thought. Do lefties run in your family? My grandpa was a southpaw, but I don't think anybody else was that we know of. And in school, they tried to convince my grandpa to not be left-handed. My dad was ambidextrous. He might have been left-handed and then learnt to write right-handed. Because that was a thing back in the day. How crazy that, you know, in school, they're like, no, you can't hold your pen like that. You got to use your right hand. Like, okay, some people just think different. Some people have different thoughts and frames of mind. My grandpa was left-handed. Melissa's dad was kind of left-handed.
He was left-handed.
Well, he was left-handed, but he golfed right-handed, I think. But he played guitar left. I don't know. Anyway, it's where my grandpa and Melissa's dad both were left-handed. Some other Wayne Gretzky cards coming up here. When I look at this collection of stuff that's going up for sale right now, and I look at all the things that are going, this was all just money that was just sitting in a showcase that was just sitting there doing nothing. So every dollar that I get, see, this should have been an expensive card. This is a bit of a heartbreak because $50 is way too cheap for that. 60, that should be several $100s at least. So I'm going to be disappointed I'm going to be disappointed in this. That's fine. I mean, it's getting some extra bids. But this was all just money that was sitting around doing nothing. And at the end of the day, you got to turn stuff loose. The amount of people I run into that have fields full of cars that don't want to sell it because they don't want to take, you know, $100 less than what they want for it. And then they die having never sold it, and then it goes to auction and gets sold for nothing anyway. I'm of the mindset where I'd rather get some money back and do the things in life that I want to do with that money, whether it's buying different stock for the store or whether it's, you know, investing in different things for us. It's just things. It's just things. Let's see. Amy says she's jealous of my wife's brand new landscape opportunities. I have so many plant ideas that complement that siding. A lot of people are fans of the siding that we picked. We did end up going with sort of a heritage blue. Beautiful color. We quite liked it because it's a very happy, very fitting in a country sort of setting. So we went with the blue with the white trim. But yeah, I think, Melissa, you're looking forward to all the gardening opportunities too, aren't you?
Yeah, of course.
It's basically, we want to try and make it as much like a park as we can. Brenda, I see your question, but it's just one that doesn't really make much sense for us to answer on a live feed like this. What flowers against that blue siding? White flowers? I don't know. I imagine colorful, like coral sort of colored flowers. What do you think, Melissa?
I'm not sure. I'll figure it out once we get looking at flowers and stuff.
Abitoria says, will it have a red door? Yes, it will have a red door. The door that you see in the videos is just the contractor's door. It's not the actual front door of the house. The actual front door is a fancy pants door. Actually, it's kind of funny that I say that because our windows are actually called fancy windows. Our door is not called fancy pants. That would be... Is there a company that makes pants called fancy pants? Because if there isn't, there should be. Maybe that'll be the next thing I start up, is a company making pants called fancy pants. What are you wearing, fancy pants? That is what I'm wearing. I'm wearing my fancy pants. We will have a red door, yes. And it's going to be oversized. I think it's 8 foot tall with side lights on either side. Lots of light to be let in. Chewy, we're going to do a little Chewy run for him, yeah, like a little dog run. It's hard to find checklists like this. 65 tops tall boy checklist, unmarked. Oftentimes they're all drawn on. So getting that is a good piece for someone. Again, back into these tall boy cards. I'll probably stay on for a couple more minutes. Maybe I'll stay on until we get to the Gordie Howe tall boy that's coming up. Lot number 2250, which is coming up in a little bit. And this auction will be running throughout the day today. Well, actually, probably not for very long at the rate they're going right now. We probably only have another hour or so left of this auction before it's done. So if you are interested in logging into the auction, you can go to kauctions.ca and look for the sports card sale, which is live now. You can still get approved to bid and place your bids because there are some really great deals. If you're into sports cards or know anybody that is, you might be able to get them a birthday present, or if you're a planner, next year's Christmas present right here. Couple more cards to go. And no bids on this guy. No takers on that one. Willie Mccovey rookie. Crazy great player, Hall of Famer. Important card, terrible condition. So Gordie Howe, this is a re-release of the Tall Boy, but it is an authentic autograph. Gordie Howe always signed his name Gordon Howe. He went by Gordon. They called him Gordie Howe when he played the game, but he was Gordie. All right, well, I'll flip this back around if I can. Just try and flip this. Book, there we go. Hi, guys. So thanks for sticking with us for the last little while here. I guess we'll see how things go over, but at the end of the day, I took the contents of a showcase, which was basically just a bunch of cards stacked up, and they would sell occasionally, but not that often. And in one day, it'll all turn into some income that we could put into another collection or maybe a building purchase or whatever. So everything is going to go off, and no matter what this stuff is selling for, whether it should have gone for more or less, it's all profit at this point because I made my money back on this buy quite a while ago. So it's fine. It's all profit. It's money back in the bank. It's money we can do other things with. So thank you so much for watching today's live feed, everybody. It was great to chat with you all. And we're going to get ready here, have some lunch, and then go see if they put garage doors on our new house. So have a wonderful day, guys. We'll see you all soon, and bye for now. Bye, guys.